43 down, 17 to go before we hit that magic, beautiful 60 on our Puzzle Rush score. Welcome back for episode 3 of this run to 60. I am Phoenix. I am a chess expert, chess coach, and a risk master. A fan of all strategic games. Let's get into it here. If you've been watching, you know we're through 42 and therefore at the upper end of the 2200 bracket. This next puzzle will probably be almost 2300 here. So step 0, as we've been talking about, is counting the material. Why do I say step 0? Because you should have done it on the last move, and the move before that, and the move before that. If you lost material accidentally, well, then you should have been more careful, first of all. But second of all, you should have noticed it. So you should already know what your material count is. So we're jumping into this puzzle, and we see that I have 2 knights as black against 2 minor pieces for white. We each have a queen and 2 rooks. So let's move on to step 1 of this position, which is finding the targets. A target is the king, because if you take it, you win. And anything that is attacked and defended equally. So this knight, for instance, is attacked twice, and it is defended twice, so it is a target. And finally, that counts undefended pieces, because of course they're attacked 0 times or more. If they're undefended, then 0 against 0, that's a target too. And finally, we have this, looks like we have this rook, which is attacked and defended 1 time. So there are our 4 targets. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now all we have to do is think about ways that we can stack up on a target. And it looks like this knight move would attack 2 targets. So that's good to keep in mind. It looks like we could take, and then maybe take a knight. But looks like that would lose material. So how else can we attack it? Well, we have 2 targets on a rank. So we could try to put a rook or queen here. And we have 2 targets on a back rank. So we could try to put 2 pieces here. And finally, it looks like we have 2 targets on a diagonal. So we can try to put pieces here. So let's just take a look at all of those lines and figure out what our best move should be. And then finally, we already mentioned this. Knights are kind of special in this regard, but it's the same principle. You just want to figure out a move that attacks both of them at the same time. So what would happen here if we somehow exposed the king with a knight check? Now we can start calculating moves. So I'm thinking we could go, and in fact, this pawn I just noticed is also a target. It is attacked once and defended once. So it's a target as well. And if we were to take it, and we were to be recaptured, we would be able to clear this line, basically. So we could check here. Now the queen is busy guarding that square, but we have a pawn on it too. And of course we could always come like this if that ended up being a good tactic. So let's take a second and get our bearings on this puzzle. So there are 2 ideas that instantly kind of come to mind. By the way, I should have mentioned that the other thing you want to look at as a little tip is the space left behind, which means the last move that happened. So a bishop moved to the back rank, probably to defend this pawn, I'm guessing, because these usually come from real games. So I'm going to guess the white player thought they needed to defend this pawn. But what they left behind is control of these 2 squares. So I'm wondering if I can go knight check, which is a fork of the rook and king. And when captured, go check. Now, if I could just pick up a rook somehow, that would be great. But I've sacrificed a knight, and I think the king just goes here, and I'm not seeing a way that I could stack up on this pawn. So another thing I could do is I could just take the rook, and when the queen takes back, I go like this, and then the rook becomes pinned. But at best, I'm just going to go, they're just going to take it, and I take back, and we've just traded queens and rooks. That position doesn't look like so great, because yes, I could park a knight here, and that's a really good positional advantage, but typically you want something more in a game like this, in a tactic like this. So I'm thinking that's probably wrong. Now, I liked the idea of knight takes, but then bishop takes. Now, if I went knight takes, rook takes, then I get the knight in. Check. And that's 2 pawns for a knight and with an attack coming. Because after the check, if like king goes here, then the queen comes across supported by the knight, and then king in the corner and mate. But here's the thing. I don't know how to answer either of knight takes or bishop takes. So as particularly the bishop, because now the bishop guards this pawn. So I'm not seeing how I can use that to my advantage here. So something like take, bishop takes, other knight takes, bishop takes, check doesn't seem to lead to anything because I just traded off two pieces. And when the king moves, it can actually go here this time. If it went here, I could take the bishop and get a bishop back. And now I've won two pawns and a bishop for two knights, which is pretty good. So there has to be a way that I can like take that rook and then pin the queen to the king. That's what I'm thinking of. Alternatively, I could take the rook and then the knight takes the pawn and it's a fork. But again, it doesn't seem to work because it gets captured. So I'm not quite seeing this one yet. I really kind of stuck for ideas here. So I think we should probably just continue to calculate something like, what if the queen just took this knight? Then that's taking a target. Okay, rook takes it, then I take, and the queen takes it, and I've lost a queen for a knight, which is bad. So that's probably not it either. Yeah, I just can't get over this idea. I just got to figure out how to cash in from here. And I would love it to be then the knight comes in, but that doesn't seem to work anyway. So unclear to me exactly how we're going to proceed here. Well, as you guys know, I don't play these things or set up these puzzles knowing already what the answer is going to be. So my best guess is that it is the knight takes and then pawn takes and then queen check, king over. And then I'm thinking it's actually going to be rook up because I don't see how you can defend this pawn. And that's a really dangerous approach, I think, because I'm attacking this invisible square with nothing on it 3 times. So like if rook comes down, then I can take it. So let's say the rook doesn't come down, then maybe the pawn does. Or sorry, the knight does. And then I think I could take that and rook takes and then rook takes and then queen takes. And it doesn't work. But one thing I can do at any moment is play queen takes the pawn and it's check again. So some ideas there. I haven't quite worked it out yet, but I think it's got to start with something like this and then queen check. Because another issue is that if the queen ever decides to do something on this square, I have this check available. So, but I'm pretty sure the only place the queen would ever go is here, in which case that check is still taken away. So maybe it is going to be like queen here, then queen here. So I'm going to continue to take a look at that too. Okay, so I'm basically thinking I have the right idea. I do think it is the knight takes this pawn here. And then the idea is that if pawn takes back, check. When the king moves and rook comes up, if anything interposes, I can take this pawn check. And I think I can come back, actually. And the idea is that any piece sitting here, after if I put a rook here, will become pinned to this square. So as a result, after I've taken this pawn, I can always play the e4 move. So I haven't quite worked it out. I think it's take, check, king moves, rook up, knight here. I take the pawn check. And then I think the king is going to have to move. Probably if I mean, I'm guessing it's this way. We at least pick up another pawn, right? If not, knight takes, you know, knight takes and then rook takes and then we take that and bishop takes back. And I'm thinking that's it because then we have a ton of passed pawns and I think that's worth a knight. So I'm not sure I have this one, but this could be the first red X. Definitely not how I'd like to start an episode, but we're going to see. It is right. So I had the right instinct the whole time. Got to be this. Yeah. Okay. Now here's the question. Is it rook up or do I take the pawn? Because if I take the pawn, I get another pawn too. So a tempting offer either way. Yeah, I think it's got to be rook up. So basically, if rook up, if they block with the rook, the idea is that the knight can take it and we're up in exchange. So that's good. If the bishop blocks, I think we can take that. And if a knight takes back, then we can take here. Check. And I don't really see like other defenses here. So the only other thing I can think of is if I take the pawn check. But then I'm pretty sure after the king moves, I don't really have anything anymore. Yes, of course I do. Well, there you go. Solved it. It was the targeting the whole time, right? We had 4 targets, and I was thinking there's no way. There's just no way. And of course, I'm just warming up. There you go. And turns out there is a target, and there is a thing I can do after the king moves. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and win a rook. That took me a while. I'm not proud of that, but sometimes that's just the way chess is. As long as you get there in the end, I mean, you're gold, right? So I'm thinking automatically, just boop, and then we're gonna probably try to checkmate. So I'm thinking it's here, but if the pawn blocks, we go up, and then I don't think there's anything that really can be done there to stop me. So there's a rook check, but we just move out of the way, and it doesn't do anything or matter because this rook is blocked in. So how do you get out of this if you're black? You go here, here, I pin it, and I'm threatening mate in 1. Check. We move. And then what's the problem here? None. There's no problem. We could also maybe attempt to push a pawn or something like that. So good ideas all around. But no, I think that's just making my life harder because here and then the pawn is dead. I'd have to guard it from the side, which isn't something I'm keen on doing. So pretty sure I have it right away. So if we count the material, black, or what material is even, right? Well, I have an extra pawn, but it's doubled, and so who cares? So the idea is we're either going to have to win a rook, and we do have a targeted rook right here. So maybe it's like something like take, but I doubt it. I think the point of this last move is to take up the space so that this rook can't come up there or something like that. And darn it, I'm pretty sure I've got a mate, right? Or at least winning a rook. If I go like this, yeah, I don't see a defense to this. Even if black plays something else, like pawn up after the check, then I take it. Yeah, I think I got this one. I don't really see much point in calculating other like rook moves. If I go like this, just that, and I've gained nothing. So yeah, let's do it. That's of course correct. We're going to go like that. Now give me your rook. Now give me your other rook. There you go. Okay. That was easy. First look. Sweet. Oh, hello, back rank. Aren't you mighty fine this morning? Okay. What do we have here? Material. Even. I have a passed pawn, so I'm going to count that as like extra material here. Uh, so it looks like it's just going to be like take, 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 push the pawn. Rook has to go back. I push the pawn, it blocks, and then I go like this or something like that. What take, 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 and I mate somehow. That's got to be winning. I'm not sure how that's exactly going to work. The other option is pawn, but then I get there's this check here, and then I take, and the bishop takes, and then I can take a rook, and then they take a rook, and then I like take their bishop back, and then they block, and I pin them, and then they take, and I queen, and it's mate. You get all that? So basically, we have a target here because it's 1 and 1. And we have a target here because it's 1, and we're going to look through the rook to the other one. And then we have a king as a target because king is always a target. We have an undefended rook and an undefended rook. So thankfully, everything's a target. Wonderful. How do we take advantage of it? I would love it if I could just get an extra tempo with this pawn. Here's what I'm calculating. We take the knight. They take back. I take the bishop. They take back. I push the pawn. But they're just in time to stop me, really. I think they can even go king over, and then I go like this, and they go king here, and the pawn's almost dead. So there must be a way where I can like line up on the back rank somehow. What I'd love to do is if these rooks were stacked, after I make all those exchanges, it's mate. Almost mating in the back. So we just got to figure out a way to shake the rooks off the back rank and or add attackers. What if I pinned the pieces like this? What would that do? Because the idea is if I take, this bishop is almost lost because it's attacked twice, but then the pawn will come up. And I'm not sure that's advantageous. So it is a skewer. And as we know, we like, if we have 3 targets on a line, we love to connect them. Probably the right idea, but not quite there yet. It looks to me like it probably, I'm seeing wins out everywhere. I'm not really sure how we're losing this no matter what I do. If I go rook over, take, if the bishop takes, we take that. But otherwise, like rook over, knight takes, take. And then if they don't do, they don't want to like lose the rook, they're going to play f5. But then can't I just take it anyway? And if the rook takes, I take that and they take back. And now I go king up. Because aren't I just going to win this pawn and promote and win the game? So the other thing I'm looking at is pawn push. And now you have to react to my attack on your rook. If your rook moves away, I win a knight. So your rook probably doesn't move away. So what if it just goes here? Well, then we just do the same thing we just did. Take, 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 and take, and then I push. And now I'm winning because I'm 1 square further up the board. And then here's the main line. Push, knight takes, bishop takes, and black is 1 apiece. But I'm pretty sure I can take the rook. And if now they're down a rook, so they take mine. So then I take a bishop back. And when they take my bishop back, I have a pawn right here. It's about to queen, right? So the second thing is I'm threatening the classic rook fork on the back rank, supported by a pawn. And so they have 1 move to react to that. I think they probably would move a pawn. And then, or they could put the rook in front of the pawn. Either way, I'm going to trap it. And then they don't have any method of like preventing my promotion. So I'm thinking it is pawn push on account of that combination all working out for me. And basically, I don't win a piece, but I don't think anything else wins a piece either. I don't think the skewer works on account of being able to hold the bishop with f5. And then even if they play f5 and I play g4, they can just play g6. And this is actually worse for me because now the king is able to come in toward the center. So I do think it's this pawn up because if we do all those exchanges, I'm going to basically take and take here. That's what I'm seeing in my mind. A pawn here and a white rook here. And now it's even material, but my pawn is about to promote with the help of the rook. So how in the world does black stop that? And I don't think that they can. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. And if this is a red X, I'm fine with that because I don't see the defense. This doesn't work. It loses a knight. This doesn't work because we trade everything and then push the pawn. And then anything else, if you don't react with one of these pieces, I just take your rook. And we already calculated that this works. So because if I push the pawn and take and take, yeah, your rook is attacked, but so is your bishop. And I'm threatening to just come on by. So I'm going to play it. I think it works. Let's find out. It does work. Okay, you're just giving me your bishop. So the idea was if you take this bishop, I take your rook. And if you take my rook, I take your bishop, and then you can't prevent the queen. So that's why I'm just going to take my prize of 1 bishop. Thank you. Cool. That was a 2300 rated puzzle. That was a lot of calculation. I find these to be the hardest kind where like every move seems like it's winning. If you see a move that you know is losing, that's easy. You reject the whole line, you look for something else. But even grandmasters have said that basically the hardest moves in all of chess are the ones where you think you're winning and there's some hidden defense and you've thrown away your entire advantage. So this one looks like a really classic kind of maneuver of I want to go check, king, and then mate. However, there's a sneaky little hole here. So they go like this. But then can't I continue with something else? I don't know. I would like to go check, but there's a pawn looking at it, so it doesn't work. So I'm wondering if I can like fill that hole somehow beforehand. I'd love to play king up, but then this doesn't work. Now we should count the material and we notice that white is actually going to queen. We have even material otherwise. But I'm guaranteeing you that it plays off the theme of this king being trapped. Like this. And then the king goes here. And now what if I go king over? And now I've plugged the hole. And that's got to be good because I don't see a defense to your mate. You can give me, you can interpose a rook and I'll take it. You can interpose a pawn and I'll take that. And you can pin my knight, but I didn't need it anyway because that's mate. So I'm pretty sure it's check king up to set the mating net. It's a net set. I don't want to go here, by the way, because first of all, that hangs this pawn, but second of all, it's a check from the knight. So like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and take that pawn. And then I think what's going to happen is they'll throw the rook away, right? Oh, they throw their pawn away. Well, that shouldn't matter. I can just go here. And then it's pinned and the king can't move and everything is good and it's gold. There's no checks. I'll just take next move. Yay. And we are mating. We're mating. Yes. Perfect. That was easy, actually. Straightforward. There's only that what you have to notice there is the classic formation, that mating formation of a pawn supporting a pawn. Sorry, a pawn supporting a pawn, and then a rook guarding that back one. And then there you go. And then you get your mate. So what is the theme of this one? Let's step 0, count the material. Material is actually black's down a pawn. I was going to say it's even, but black is actually down a pawn. So that's problematic in the sense that we got to move quickly. So what else do we have? Let's count the targets. There's one here. It's undefended. There's a king. It's a king. So it's always a target. Rook is for once defended. So that's not a target. Knight is attacked once and defended once. So it's a target. If we can just add an attacker to it, we're good. And that I'm kind of moving intentionally slow. It looks like this is going to be the move. So because that attacks this knight. So yeah, that looks pretty good to me. And I'm not seeing any issues with that. But anyway, let's continue the process of targeting. This is not a target. It's defended twice. Actually, it's defended 3 times. So it's not a target. So we don't need to look at that. So the idea that I'm capturing the knight is most likely wrong. It's not guaranteed to be wrong. It's most likely to be wrong because it doesn't help us target anything. And in fact, it trades away an attacker. It's a really good instinct to have when you're attacking, is that you don't want to trade off your attackers when there's no target there. So another thing I'm seeing is that once we play the knight into the center, there's this queen d3 defense of the knight. It's the only way to defend the knight. So how do we get rid of that? And I'm wondering if we don't, and we just use the fact that the knight is attacking the other side of the board. We could then trade off and then go queen here, queen h4. But the issue with that is that the bishop will just take our knight off the board. Like it looks like an attack on h7, right? It looks like an attack here, but it's not because the bishop will just take our knight. So it doesn't exactly work. So how can we take advantage of that anyway? Maybe we take here first and then do this. This is one of those famous move inversion, move order tricks. You just got to flip the order of your moves, but that only works on targeting. Why is that? Well, you win a target when you've attacked it in a way that it can't be defended. So like, that's why this is a target. It's one-on-one, right? Well, if it's one-on-one and we go like this, it's now 2-on-1 and is at threat of being lost. That's why we look for targets. Let's suppose the queen d3 move didn't exist. Well, in that case, we would just be able to take the knight once and take it twice. That's the source of why you can invert moves, is because you can take it either way the first time. So we can take it now or we can take it later. But I don't really think that that's any benefit. If we take, we go up the board and then the bishop can just move because the pin is gone. Now, my instinct would have been, to be honest with you, queen a5, but it's illegal for 2 reasons. There's 2 pawns in the way. So I wanted to play knight, queen, and then queen a5. That's just like my instinct, my chess playing habits coming through. So there must be another way to prevent this. And I'm wondering if it's like knight, queen, and then bishop coming back. There's something we could do with that. But I'm not quite seeing that. And then finally, I have knight, queen. What if the knight sacrifices? The king takes back. We take the knight, or we can even do that first. Bishop takes back or something, and then we go check. Does that lead to anything? I don't think so. In fact, that doesn't look good at all. So I don't like it. But attacking a target's got to be a good idea. I'm definitely thinking and leaning toward that move. So we also have this idea of a4, but then I think a3. And then if we take, they can take our bishop. And you're thinking, well, isn't that pawn pinned? Because isn't that the classic kind of fishing pole tactic? No, it doesn't work here because there's a queen defending it and a bishop defending it. So no matter what, even if the queen was already on d2 or d3, the bishop still defends it. I'm thinking it's just knight, queen, bishop, and then the threat is just move the knight somewhere and the queen is attacked. Like I could take the knight, but I could also go like g3 attacking a rook, or if the king decides to castle, then I could like, well, I could still do that. But also I could take here and the queen is attacked twice. So I really think it's just the knight in the middle, queen blocks, and then we attack the queen. And I don't think there's a way for white to avoid losing material there because the base threat is I take the knight because it is still pinned. It's not like it can take me or anything. So I'm going to go for it. Yeah. And then I think it's just this. And I've thought long enough about it. So, okay, we have it right. That's what I thought. But now the question is, do I take this piece or do I go this way and try to win a rook? I didn't get this. I mean, I got this far, but I just figured, oh, well, you lose no matter what move I play. You're telling me there's only one move that wins this? It's got to be then I take a piece because the other idea is it comes with tempo because I'm able to take a bishop on the next move and there's never any threat of winning my knight. So I'm going to take the knight. And by the way, you can't take with the queen. So basically it's a double attack. I take the knight and you're double attacked. Your queen is attacked and so is your bishop. And you can't take back my knight because there's no way to save the queen while doing so. So, but why does this fail, I wonder? Because can't the queen just like move out of the way? And then I just take a rook? I guess maybe it's just not good enough. I am down a pawn. Maybe it's just not worth like I'm winning an exchange, but I lose the knight, and maybe the knight and pawn are worth more than the rook in this exact situation. So, well, I in fact, it doesn't really matter because we know it's not winning. Even if we're still better, it's not winning. So we're probably just going to take the knight. I don't see a reason not to. It looks like I'm winning a piece. And then I'm going to take the bishop next move, if allowed. Yeah, okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I didn't think it mattered, but it's good to know. So we're promoting, it's a pawn race in this case. So what did we end up doing there? 5 so far. We're doing well. 5 without a mistake. I don't know that I've ever gotten to 47 without a mistake. Usually I make some sort of error along the way, but I think I've just been analyzing these pretty clearly and just following the rules of find the targets and then attack the targets. The knight sacrifice in the middle in order to, like, knight takes pawn so that the queen could check. That was the only hard, for me, any puzzle so far. This one, where we took with the knight and then forked the rook. It took a little dancing around to find a target, but in the end, what did I tell you? We took a target, an undefended piece, right? The rook in the corner was undefended. So in this case, this looks like a classic endgame. I'm just going to go here. So, and then how do you stop me? I guess you go back, but then I push a pawn and you go back and I queen it. And then you take it and I take it and then you push. But then I go like this and I hold that pawn. And if the other pawn pushes, then I stop it. Solved. And then you go here, but then I take your pawn. And then you check me again and I take this pawn. And then you're about to queen, but then I go to the back rank. Oh my. Did you follow that? Was that clear enough? I'm pretty okay. Here, 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 here. Take, take. That's pretty easy for me because that's just like how you do it. That's just how you promote a pawn. It's a it's kind of a well-known kind of pattern. But the question is, okay, I lost the queen though, so now what am I going to do in order to actually like stop all these other pawns and use my rook? I only have a rook to win. So this pawn is my reserve pawn. I'm going to queen it later. But the priority mission is that I figure out a way to stop all these pawns. So I'm wondering if do I play rook here or rook here? Typically, you want to attack the head pawn. This one, it's further up the board. And the idea is if this one goes here, we take this guy. But in this situation, my king is very close to him, and he's 3 tempi away from taking the other pawn. Even just assuming it's even legal to like walk through those squares. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and do this and promote my pawn. But if I go here, by the way, I've also calculated this queen, queen, and then it really shouldn't matter because I can just go check and mate with my rook because they're never going to get their queen and rook unburied. So that's an easy mate. And the reason I want to put the rook behind is because this black rook can come behind and guard this pawn from queening, and in which case this guy's clear to run, and it's a real problem. So I think I got to get on my horse, basically, and make sure that I queen a pawn. Dang it. Okay, what's the answer? Let's see here. Yeah, let's hit show solution. What am I supposed to do? Push the pawn first, it goes back, then I cut it off. Wow, quite long, actually. Huh. Okay. Okay. I surrender. I give up. I didn't see any of that. What's wrong with my move? What is the defense? I go here first. Yes, you take that. What if I just go here? How do you stop me? Okay, it's still a draw. C2, push. C3 check. And I go here. That's why I didn't account for this. So the idea is I can't approach the pawns. This is illegal because of the rook, and there's pawn and pawn. That's why this is a draw. I didn't even notice that I can't go closer to the pawn. Is that the only drawing move for black? G2 also wins because I queen. Of course, that's okay. That's actually bad. All right. That was actually a terrible decision. Huh. Okay, we're going to get right back to it, though. Well, I'm down at queen. Step 0, count the material. You may have noticed I'm down a queen, so we should probably take it. And then I'm going to go here, 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 and promote. Isn't this kind of like baby stuff? Well, that's what I said about the last one. All right, obviously I have to take this guy. Yeah. Now I'm going to go here, and it's a race to this corner, right? Aren't I going to go here, and you go here, and I go here? Probably. Here's how I calculate that so fast is that I am 1 file over. So you don't actually need to know, you don't need to know the exact move that's going to happen. It's white to move and we're 1 file separated. So I simply fast forward to it's white to move and we're 1 file separated. So black must be here or here or here or here. But I mean, they lose faster if they try to come this way. So here, 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 you can't come in. So you go here and I go here and you go here and that's easy. Check. And then any junior can queen that pawn. So I think the mistake might be people try to go like this, this, and then this, and they get oppositioned. That's one way to lose. But if I'm understanding this correctly, this is the classic just don't run at the king. Don't run like here and then up and try to shoulder him out. You're trying to get around the black king. The black king is the one trying to shoulder you out. So you want to run around him like this, where it's farther for him. It's just farther away than here. So it's harder for him to block you. That's the key that you have to understand. You aren't boxing out the black king. The black king is trying to box out the white king. So we're just going to go that way. And I think this is just a juvenile kind of tactic. Yeah, that was easy. Maybe people just don't know it. I mean, I don't say juvenile like it's like a pejorative. I'm just saying it's like something you learn super, super early. But I also know that people just don't study endgames. I have no idea why. I enjoy them a lot. They reduce chess to their like smallest parts, so I don't know why anybody would not want them. Count the material here. We're down a bishop and a rook. So we have to win at least a bishop and a rook, which means A, the queen. That's unlikely. Or B, the king. Much more likely. So just right off the bat with step 0, you can get like halfway to solving this puzzle. So let's count the targets. This is a target. It's attacked and defended once. This is a target. This is undefended. This is undefended. And this is undefended. So everything's a target again, which of course, as you know, makes this hard. Okay, so check. And then knight blocks, and that's mate. And then, of course, check, and bishop blocks, and we take it, and that's almost mate. The knight will block again, and then we mate here. What? Are you handing me free puzzles? This is a 2600 level puzzle. Nobody sees that I can check and mate. Step 1, step 0, count the material. Step 0 point B is realize you have to mate. And then, like, aren't you just going to look at, like, checks and stuff? Okay. If I go check, the only legal moves are knight or bishop. Knight, it's a smothered mate. Bishop, we take it. And then we smothered mate. There's no other solution here. So, what? How is it this easy? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the pre-puzzle. We're going to do one more. I want to get to 50 before the end of this. We're getting a little long on the clock here. But, not too bad, though, I don't think. I think we're doing kind of, pretty well here. One wrong exit finally took me to the 2500s. Gosh, it's got to be this, right? Sorry? No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. It's going to be king over. And then, why aren't we checking? And then the king goes here. And then I wanted to take here, and then like fancy stuff happens, but it doesn't look like it is. So check here, king over, but then we get checked. So it's got to be checked and king here, and then anything else we queen immediately, right? So we can check, and the king goes here, and I push the pawn. Now my rook is guarded, and their queening square is guarded, and I get to enjoy my extra bishop. So a fun fact about puzzles is that if you start up material, almost guaranteed, the answer is not like winning anything. It's doing nothing long enough that you get to keep your extra material. A lot of times it's like, how do you dig the rook out of the corner? How do you prevent your bishop from getting forked by the knight? And in this case, we have an extra bishop. All we have to do is stop black from promotion. And I think we just do that by check, check, and push the pawn. Because the pawn is blocking the bishop. And as long as we have the bishop out of the way, I mean, we can just block it. So I think it's just going to go check. And we're going to check again. And now I'm pretty sure I just pushed the pawn. Because we're winning that endgame. We're going to take this and queen this guy anyway. So I'm just going to push the pawn, right? Because I have to stop the queening. So yeah, we're going to do that. Yep. Oh, cool. I assume I take you. Perfect. There's 50, everybody. A 2700 level puzzle. That was a lot of fun. I always start to sign off, and then they give me a super easy one. Hello? So maybe we'll pick this one up next time. Maybe it's going to be like bishop takes or something like that. I doubt it, though, right? Isn't it going to be queen? I don't know. All right, fine. I'll queen check. If king here, it's actually check, and I win your queen. And queen check, king here, I take your rook, and then you go here, and then I go check, and then you block with the bishop, and then I go here, check, and then you go here, and then I go mate. So didn't I? Okay. I really wish they would give me like a hard one where I say I don't know, and then I can sign off. But okay, we're down a rook, so we have to win a queen, and if we do that, then that's fine. So I'm pretty sure it's just going to be here. Check. Only 2 legal options. This one loses the queen. Check. In fact, it's actually mating. Oh my gosh, that's how you lose it. Found it. That's why this is such a high rated puzzle. Check, king, and you're thinking check, take the queen. because I was too, right? But what does black do? They take your knight, and then you actually go, boop, surprise, checkmate. So that means they actually cannot. They have to go back, and then we take here. And that's going to be a mate soon enough. You block with the queen, we take that. And then you block with the knight, and we take that, and that's checkmate. So there it is. So let's go ahead and play it. Now it's knight. There you go, 51. I got to show you this, and then we'll do the whole sign off thing. I don't know why it always happens where we get this bonus puzzle at the end. It's like, this is Phoenix. I'm a chess expert. If you're interested in getting better at chess, follow along to the channel. Go down and hit the like button and subscribe and things like that. And then like, oop, checkmate in 2. So it goes like this. By the way, do go hit the like button. I'll wait. Come on. I know you're thinking about it. You're like, I can't believe he's asking again for the like button. It's like, well, you know, you got to spread the video, man. Spread the video. It's not just for me, though. If you like chess content, hitting the like button not only saves this channel so you can find it again, but it also helps to improve your YouTube algorithm. Did you know that? Because you're basically telling the algorithm, yes, you want more of this kind of content. Not this video, but stuff like this. And things that other people like who have liked this video as well. So you'll get to see the stuff that they've liked. Anyway, so hit the like button. Go do it. 3, 2, 1, welcome back. King h7 or king h8. If you go king h7, knight here, right? Here's the fun part. I thought it was going to be take the queen, but I don't want to take the queen. I can actually take the king. Huzzah. So that's pretty good. And it's funny because we're down a rook and I just lost a knight. So if I take here, it's actually not that winning at all. So instead, king h8 would have continued. Then we take the rook. And then the queen has to block and we take that. And then the knight has to block and we take that. Mate. So that's pretty fun. And then I think the only other option here was king h8, in which case we just take the rook, like I said. King h7, I believe, oh, we can play, I didn't know that. I thought we could play like this. I see the bishop blocked, so that would have been hasty. But yeah, we can still do the same idea. Take and its mate. So, and yeah, in fact, you don't have a choice. That's the only legal move. Perfect. Cool. So now that you've hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to see if I can get all the way to 60. We are through 51. We are through the 2700s. This next puzzle we're looking at is going to be actually high 2700s. And it looks like a difficult one. So this is a perfect time to say goodnight to you. I'm going to go get some sleep and I am going to see you for the next one. But first, I got to say, I had a lot of fun. I have a ton of fun making these. I hope you do too. Leave me a comment if you enjoy this kind of content or if you want me to do some like fast as I move stuff. So I'm Phoenix. I had fun. I hope you had fun and I'll see you for the next one.